pay him, albeit at a reduced price, for potentially another year, but then he'll be in line for a massive payday. But talk about a great story. Drafted, had the brutal knee injury, and here he is at one of the tops there in the NFL.
And we were gawking over his highlights as well. Thank you so much, Will. And that segues us perfectly into another edition of More or Less. Let's talk about these Cowboys. We're watching those highlights. You guys are mentioning Van Der Esch, what this defense is going to look like. They're ready to go on offense this year. Jalen Smith isn't worried about his contract. Eventually, there's a bunch of contracts that I am worried about. But as far as this year and next year are concerned for the Cowboys, more or less than 2 seasons until that Super Bowl window that is very much opening and happening right now closes.
What do you got? I'll say more. I know we're all assuming that this thing is going to fall apart, but when you look at the superstars that are on the offensive side of the ball, we're not talking about Jalen Smith or Van Der Esch, Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, Amari Cooper. Even if one of those individuals ends up going somewhere else, let me lean this forward a little bit, you'll still have 2 of the superstars. I've always said 3 superstars can win you a Super Bowl. 2 superstars can get you there. So regardless of what happens over the next couple seasons, 2 of those guys will stay on this squad, which is enough to get into the playoffs and make a run at a Super Bowl.
I buy that. They lose Amari. Their defense is still as good, and they still have Zeke Elliott, who has 50% of their offensive snaps.
Yeah, and there seems to be this clock ticking that I think is a little bit misleading. You know, sometimes you watch the infomercials for like the slap chop or those tactical glasses, and there'll be a ticking clock on the infomercial. I think if you call after that, they would probably still sell you the tactical glasses. It's more, guys. You know, we get so caught up in how are they going to pay all these guys. I think we lose sight of that. It's really a champagne problem. We have so many great young players. You know how many teams would die to have the problems of how are we going to pay all these guys? I think Amari is really, really the linchpin in this, though.
Really?
I think he is more important than Zeke with what he did to that team last year. I do. And I think, frankly, I think that he does more things that Zeke can't do, and he doesn't do dumb things off the field. I would go with Amari.
Amari over Zeke, that is a take. Please tweet us at #GBP. Have you ever bought anything off of television?
Oh, all the time. Are you kidding me? Yes.
Name one thing you bought up.
The ShamWow. How am I supposed to clean up a wet mess?
You called and bought a ShamWow?
Yes, and I got a bonus one, too.
Have
Vince with the headset.
Shout out to the Super Slicer.
I have never.
That thing's amazing.
Are you following me, camera guy? I love him. He's a freak in his real life, I think.
Moving on here is More or Less. We're well aware of the hype surrounding the Browns this upcoming season, but Steelers receiver Juju Smith-Schuster isn't fazed by the chatter. Here's what the third-year wideout had to say to our guy Nate Burleson at the NFL Academy in London just last week.
The guys that we have, like I said, there's no drama in our locker room. We're not in our AFC. We're not like the head team. Everyone's talking about the Browns. You know, that kind of gives pressure off of us because, you know, now we're kind of like the underdogs. But then again, you know, there's no focus on us. You know, now we just play ball. Now we just focus on game by game, you know, week by week. And yes, I think we have a huge opportunity to make the playoffs and make a big impact.
So the question on the table, great stuff. Awesome interviews by you.
Thanks. International.
Mixing it up with everybody. Steelers more or less wins than the Browns next season. I'll start off, and I'm going to say less.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to be very pragmatic and not think of what the Steelers are historically and what kind of a franchise they are. Objectively, if you look at what Pittsburgh lost and what the Browns gained, the Browns are a better squad going into 2019.
For me, I have to stick to what I've already said. I don't want to jump around. At one point, shortly after the season, I said that the AFC North champions will be the Browns. As much as I love Juju, as much as I appreciate Big Ben for what he is and the Hall of Famer he's going to be, I'm going to say less as well. The one factor that I could say would make my prediction of the AFC North champs being the Browns false would be Freddie Kitchens, the new head coach for the Browns. He is the ultimate X factor. I'm going less right now. The Steelers won't have more wins than the Browns, but in the back of my mind, Freddie Kitchens could drop the ball.
It's tough. It's really tough.
I have no idea what's on your board, but you keep like side-eyeing both of us.
I've changed it a couple of times. I don't know a ton about the stock market, but when I was young, my dad told me to always bet on the blue chips. I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. I know that there's some companies that pop up and they're cool and they're fresh, and the next big thing, you bet on your classic companies that win year after year, especially ones that have a better quarterback. Ben Roethlisberger at this point is better than Baker Mayfield. I will bet on that. I will bet on a coach who has been there, who has won the Super Bowl, as as opposed to Freddie Kitchens, who we're all in love with. But guys, we don't really know if he can coach or not. And he's got a really tough challenge. So I've learned a few things about this league, and it is never a doubt that the Steelers will win year after year. I'm going to go Pittsburgh, but close.
You're not betting, you're not investing in that Browns Bitcoin?
Nope, maybe I should. Maybe I'm losing out on a yacht. You know what I mean? I got my savings bond for my grandmother.
Are you investing in like a Discman, like right now in 2019? You know what I mean? Like, is it still what it was?
Technology?
I don't know.
The opposite of a Discman is Juju Smith-Schuster.
I love it.
He is the next generation, but this is adult time. This is don't put up no brick, Juju. It's not all pizza jackets and memes and stuff. You got to go and put up 1,400 yards and 12 touchdowns.
We have a speed one next, but you're both going to fall in love with this footage.
All right,
what do we got? You, Falcons receiver Mohamed Sanu has been known to sling the ball around a bit since he's been in the league. We've seen it on the field in games, but now we have people wondering if he can play quarterback full time. Here it is, the Hail Mary.
Oh, yeah.
It was right on target.
That's ridiculous.
This is him messing around and warming up, too. Shout out to the Lefko Show for tweeting that.
All right, Dwayne Haskins issued a challenge to Sanu on Twitter. More or less than 5 starting quarterbacks that Mohamed Sanu can throw farther than guy.
Go ahead, Nate.